Welcome to a very special The Lost Signals podcast at the Podcast Movement 2017 in Anaheim, California.
Hey everybody, how you doing? This is Steevo here for a very special episode of On the Horn. I'm here with two other members of the Lost Signals, Scott Thurlow.
Hey there.
And Jonathan Ian Manzer over behind the camera.
Yes, I'm invisible right now.
And we're joined today by Cody Boyce.
What up?
Mastermind behind Podcast Masters.
Don't make it too much more than it is.
First of his name, etc.
Well,
Cody has an amazing business card, by the way.
That's all.
We'll get into it a little bit more later, probably.
Yeah, Steevo.
But for the time being, you basically own your own company doing sound editing for a bunch of other podcasts, correct?
Yeah, just podcast production, floor to ceiling, notes, artwork, everything.
Very
whole
nice.
package.
Whole package.
And you also do your own podcast about Star Wars, correct?
Yes, Rogue Squadron podcast. Shout out to my co-host Mopar, craft beer, and Star Wars. It's literally the description.
Sounds wonderful.
Excellent.
That's all it is.
And we're definitely going to get a little bit into Star Wars in a little bit. But,
Yes, for sure.
So basically, we just wanted to have you on. We met you yesterday and had some good conversation.
Quite inebriated.
Yeah,
At the rooftop party. At the
Shout
podcast
out
movement.
to names again. Sorry, one more time.
Scott. Steve.
Steve.
Ian.
Ian. Scott, Steve, and Ian. Okay, so Scott wearing a Fallout shirt, or else I may
Correct.
We might not have ever met.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So good choice in tees.
But
Just real quickly,
yeah,
as I've always said on our show, video games bring everyone together. That's
very true.
Always.
absolutely.
Go on, sir.
So anyway, I kind of want to just. This is kind of a little bit of a different format than we usually have for interviews. We got more people in, so I want to open it up a little bit more than we usually do. I know we're going to definitely talk about Star Wars.
We're just going to nerd out for a bit.
Is there anything about your company that you want to talk about briefly before we get started? Give yourself a little shout out. Put yourself out there a little bit.
Nothing too major, man. This is our first podcast movement. My guy Hayden is here from England, so it's been a really fun time to meet him in person for the first time. It's been a year and a half of working together. We finally just met. That's been good. Podcast movement's been great. There's some fishy info going around, but Rob Walsh from Libsyn kind of laid the smackdown on everybody in his last session, so that was really good to hear.
Nice.
Company wise, nothing much. I don't talk about it too much, man.
All right.
We just we love podcasts. We do editing and audio production, and just
Fair enough.
grateful that we have the chance to do it full time.
Absolutely. Let's move on then. So, are there any questions that either of you two have before we move on?
Well, you're a Star Wars person.
You could say that.
As you can see by the shirt.
Yeah. I don't know if you can see it on the thing.
Yep.
Shows the worst way to do that.
What was the initial work that drew you in, or that made you love Star Wars?
Yeah, good question. So we're younger. We couldn't see the originals in theaters, obviously. I think I remember seeing the special edition of Episode 4 in 97. I don't remember it too much. The surprising thing that got me into it is actually Legos. I was into Legos anyways.
I can see that.
So Phantom Menace came out, and all the actual, the first Star Wars Lego sets started to come out. Darth Maul's Sith Infiltrator I had, and Anakin's Pod Racer.
Nice.
And I saw Episode 1 in theaters. I think that was the thing that really kicked it off. And we were talking about this on the last episode of Rogue Squadron, that we never even saw Episode 2 in theaters. My co-host Mopar doesn't remember seeing Episode 1 in theaters at all.
Yeah.
It was a kind of a slow start. And then by the time Revenge of the Sith came out, we were just, fucking obsessed.
So it's funny you mentioned the prequels. How old are you? I don't think we talked about this. 28. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm 33, and I was in high school when the prequels started coming out.
Okay, yeah.
So it's a little bit of a different. I know kids loved that shit back in the day. So you were a little bit younger and what? It's
Wasn't between 5th and 6th grade.
It's
Not that
big,
big of a gap, but it could be significant. Go on.
That's the whole huge thing. It's that small age gap.
Yeah.
Really got you into Star Wars, whereas Star Wars to me was 4, 5, and 6.
Of course.
When they not when they came
On
out,
VHS,
but
when you saw
those are the
them.
ones that I say.
I watched New Hope on VHS. I think I still have a copy. But
Nice.
that's
Nice.
how we come from. Go on.
Yeah, but I just think that's interesting, and that got you into the whole thing. So now we're gonna definitely. I know you definitely want to talk about Force Awakens, which we got into a long conversation about that last night. And
Force Awakens Part 2, the conversation begins. Go.
But on the prequels thing though, like what you said about being younger, and that's what got me into it. Old fans tend to forget that they were kids and got into Star Wars in the first place.
That's absolutely
Exactly.
true.
And now they won't let go of those. You know what I mean? It's like it's a hot topic in like the Star Wars community right now. It's hard to get away from.
That is true, and like so myself, I'll just be forthright with you. I did not like the prequels.
It's okay.
I was not a huge fan of them, but
That's fine.
I think there's something to be said for that. For the reason that a lot of kids got it. I remember going to McDonald's around when they were coming out, and they were all over the damn
It's
place. With
certainly
toys
valid.
everywhere, stuff like that. It was all over there, all our marketing. So that gets any way you can get kids into Star Wars is a good thing.
So.
I think.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like, what kind of so. We had a long conversation, and I want to let you present it, kind of, because we were talking about why.
I remember bits and pieces.
Force Awakens.
Same here.
I don't know. I couldn't recount it.
I'll rehash slightly for you.
Steevo
and then I'll let you take it
remembers
away.
more than either of us.
We were talking about why Force Awakens to
Is the
you
best Star Wars movie?
is better than any of the original three, which I also disagree with. But I'm really interested to hear, now that I'll probably be able to remember the entire conversation. I'm really interested to hear what you like, all the reason for that.
All right. So in the summary of it is, as we advance through time, we get better at almost everything.
Okay.
Sure.
So 40
Agreed.
years later, we can make a hell of a lot better movie than we could make in 77. So if you tie the quality of the movie with, I think, the gap between prequels and sequel trilogy, they waited a long time. They got the right people together. Disney's behind the helm now. Is like the biggest pop culture thing ever. I think they waited. They did a lot of things right. The movie itself is really good, and I think as far as Star Wars goes, like the only complaint that people can really make is that it models A New Hope, which I understand the complaint. And the rebuttal to that, which I know we got into last night, is like, so original trilogy comes out, everyone loves Star Wars, it's the biggest thing ever. Prequel trilogy comes out, everyone bitches and complains. So when Disney buys it, they go back and model what everyone loves, and now it's a repeat. Now they're pissed about that too. So you can't make anyone happy.
Yeah.
Like,
It's a double-edged sword. You're never going to please the Star Wars fans ever.
exactly.
We actually had this this part also last night, which I initially had a problem with The Force Awakens because of that rehashing.
Right.
Except that now that I'm learning about mythology and Joseph Campbell, I realize that it can't be anything but
Right.
It's a cyclical journey.
It's a cyclical.
Sure.
Like, you don't argue that Hercules is the same from one generation to the next. They're the same tales. This classic tale being told.
It's too many
So
Robin Hoods.
I have forgiven a lot of my initial kind of
He's become less
Qualms.
abrasive about it. So it
so
seems.
it qualms with it. So I'm much happier with it now.
That's a good point. Yeah, and I've heard people consider it like a soft reboot. So it's not. It is episode 7, but it's not so much a sequel as like a pseudo reboot of the franchise, which makes sense.
I'm interested to see where they go with the next movie, because you can't just remake Empire, that has to go to a different
it's not
place.
going to be like that.
And it has to, they have to come to a different ending. So at this point, you
Right.
need to kind of break away
It seems like it should have.
from the model.
But thematically, it should remain the same. However, though you can't touch plot point for plot point because it's diverged so much, it still should capture that spirit that Empire had.
Yes, I
Yeah.
agree. And
Yeah.
based on the trailer that I've seen, like this is my joke, of course. I believe Mark Hamill, Luke says, well, one truth I know, it's time for the Jedi to end. I think he says that in the trailer. And I always say, like, yeah, it's time for the Star Wars to end. Like, humorously, but like, I see what you mean. And going off of the bits and pieces that I do recollect from our conversation last night,
Not much.
what I do remember is that, yes, Force Awakens, I believe, check out our review of it, by the way, which we did when it came out like last year. I think, what did we give it? Did we give it like a 7 or an 8 or
Gave it a
something
pretty
like
good
that?
score. It was a 7 probably.
And I can't remember what we gave zeros to, but I probably gave like Intro a 0 because of the fact that, I was like, oh, it's the same fucking movie as New Hope. But as you said, Cody, it's not necessarily a bad thing.
Right.
Is that like a mark against it? I don't necessarily think so. It's just that my cynical assessment of it is something like that. So it's similar to what you just said. I sort of like have stepped back from hating on it all, like as much as I did initially.
Yeah. I mean, it's a debate that doesn't have an end, because as soon as you say that it should follow the same kind of narrative and trajectory, like you were saying with myth and story, That's one way to look at it. In another sense, a lot of Star Wars fans are just waiting for something new to happen. Like, you need to continue the story. And by continuing it, it needs to change. You know what I mean?
I guess the question I would ask
Star Wars fans, wrong.
Yeah. Here's what I'm asking you, and all Star Wars in general. What fucking movie do you want them to make? What do you want them to do?
That's what I've been saying since December 2015.
Well, I'll tell you this. No movie studio should ever ask that. It's fine for you to ask that question, but letting the fans make the movie is always a terrible idea.
I understand that. That's what I'm saying. It's a hypothetical thing.
But J.J. Abrams is the fan. And he's making the movie.
He's supposed to be their avatar that's making the film, and they didn't even like that one up. Like that less, at least.
Of course.
Good.
All he has is his mystery box.
I think one thing that I try to remember as a fan and enjoying shit is that the bitter people talk the loudest. So it seems like, half the fan base is pissed, but I don't think it really is. I think it's a very small minority.
They get the most space.
Always. And not in Star Wars, just across the board, like the people that are the most pissed just shout the loudest. And it makes them appear like they're a lot bigger than they actually are.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely valid to a large extent.
I know that I liked Force Awakens better than you guys did, which is to say that I really loved it, and you guys had your qualms with it.
I thought it was fine at the end of the day.
But I think that it was a well done movie. I think it was a lot of fun, and the biggest thing for me was when I watched it is that I felt the same way I felt when I watched A New Hope. Originally, when I was a kid.
I knew you were going to say that.
And like that's huge for me. That's enormous. That's a big thing, I think.
Well, that's kind of the whole point of it,
Yeah, exactly.
Back to the thing is like the older fans want to feel that feeling again, but they tried to give them in the exact same way, and it's just not good enough,
Yeah.
But the thing is, I do think they were successful at doing that. It just depending, like, again, your nostalgia factor or not. Like, if you were, like you said, if you were younger and had just seen Force Awakens, and had no like baggage, as I probably said last night, coming into it, it probably was fucking amazing. Yeah. Because of that because of the fact of the nature, the way they did it.
Yeah, man. That's one of the phrases that I do remember from the cloud of last night is the nostalgia factor. It's like you kind of have to put it aside when you're rating or reviewing a movie. But you almost can't ever put it aside because it's latched onto you. It's like a symbiote. You can't.
I mean, it's nostalgia for a reason. But I want to get into this, which we may have again gotten into, but I'd like to do it right now. You're wearing a Rogue One shirt.
I am.
Rogue One. You just said the same phrase that you said on the Force Awakens review. I felt like being a kid again watching this Star Wars movie. I didn't feel that way with Rogue One. I was like, this is a fucking awesome war movie that happens to be in a Star Wars universe.
Yeah.
And that's why I really enjoyed it. It was hardcore. They were literally on a suicide mission.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, at
spoilers, Scott.
I'm sorry if you're a Star Wars fan and haven't seen any of this stuff.
And don't
if
know
you're
that.
not, too bad. It's been a while. It's been enough time. But all I'm saying is, like, that's why I enjoyed it, because it could have been just a great war film.
Yeah.
But it features, characters and if nothing else, I will give them all the credit in the world for having great world building, and that was really like impressive to me about Rogue One. Like all the places they went to, and they have that little scene, like almost like an insurgent scene on like whatever planet it was when they were like basically an IED attack happened more or less. And I was like, that's pretty ballsy, impressive to include in this franchise, which is, if not lighthearted, just less, they don't delve into that stuff, that subject matter all that often. What's up? You're aching to say something.
I'm going to say one thing. I wasn't on our Rogue One
yes,
review.
he was not there for the original review either.
I'm going to give my score now, 4 out of 10. So I despised Rogue One, and not for the reasons that, like, I don't hate them for trying to challenge themselves.
Right.
I think the fact is they tried to balance both the nostalgic factor by introducing random characters that happen to be in other movies.
Yeah.
And
I guess
also something new. And I think it satisfied no one.
It satisfied me.
I think it satisfied the grumpy fanboys that love the original trilogy only. You know what I mean? Because it got a lot of original trilogy stuff in a new format.
They did throw a lot of stuff in there.
There were a lot of references.
Oh, I know that. It's an X-Wing again.
Remember that? Like, I believe they almost said, like, someone, I think the droid in Rogue One says, I have a bad feeling, and, like, they cut him off. They're like, shut up. Like,
I thought that was great.
Yeah, I enjoyed that, too.
That's, like, the perfect way to bring in references from the original.
Yeah, it's like, hey, remember this, but we're going to subvert it a little bit.
But then those two fuckers from the cantina bumped into them when they were on Jeddah. Like, that was embarrassing to see. That was terrible. And
sure, so it's sort of like up and down, you're saying.
Yes, and 3PO and R2 were in there. I thought that was terrible, too.
Forrest Whitaker commits suicide for no reason.
For no real reason.
in that film.
That's true. That is true.
That didn't bother me all that much, I suppose. I mean, it's humorous that you mentioned that, and I don't disagree with it necessarily.
He's gonna
Forrest
have his
Whitaker's
last stand.
character was almost entirely pointless, though, in that movie. You know, like
All I'm saying is
But
that
did you guys watch Rebels?
I
have
didn't.
not.
No.
So this is one of the very small instances where the studio has taken not fan opinion, but fan
feedback, maybe.
Input, I guess. Or,
like watching what the fans are into.
yeah.
I mean, he was not a big character, but he was in Clone Wars and Rebels, and now they made him into a live action
Right.
character, which is kind of
And
cool
was
to see that stuff come to
Cody,
life.
did you
but-
like Clone Wars?
I
as a
did, but both of those shows I have to skip around. Both of those shows, like
Okay.
I look at what the story arcs are going to be, and when like Jar Jar Binks is going on a mission with Mace Windu, I'm going to skip
you're
that
like,
one. And let's get back to Anakin.
Yeah.
Let's get back to Ahsoka being a badass. Let's get back
Sure.
to like the best thing about it is that it gave Anakin's fall to the dark side a lot more weight.
Right. I mean,
Which-
that's what I heard.
yeah.
Well, that's why I'm asking you, because I haven't
Yeah.
seen that. But I heard very good things from more hardcore Star Wars fans than
Yeah.
me. And just in general, like, hey, Clone Wars is really
Yeah.
fucking good. You should check it out.
And as Commander Cody, I mean, I can't complain about seeing Rex and Commander Cody like
Yeah.
Yeah.
F
There
around.
you go.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
But no, I'm saying that. Oh, go ahead, E. Sorry. real
I
quick.
actually have a question for you.
Yeah.
So since we're kind of on the topic of the enhanced universe,
Yeah.
now I mostly know Star Wars from the films.
Yeah.
And some of the video games too. What is your favorite work outside of
Ancillary stuff, kind of.
yeah,
like supplemental works.
Either KOTOR or Darth Bane. KOTOR, so if the acronym is Knights of the Old Republic.
Yeah.
So either that or Darth Bane, which are both set in the Old Republic, and Revan, who's the main character in Knights of the Old Republic, makes a like subtle cameo in the Darth Bane novel as well. So like those are probably my two favorite characters in Star Wars.
I do-
And now they're not canon, and everyone's pissed.
Sure, sure, all that.
All
I
that
mean,
fun stuff.
That's for a long time. That was a go-to answer. The Knights of the Republic is fucking amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone always says that.
Yeah.
I mean, for a reason, for sure.
Yeah.
But good, that's a good question because we don't normally ask those. Again, more hardcore fans.
Yeah.
We mostly stick to the original or to the films at least.
Yes.
The
Yeah.
source material. we'll
Yeah,
say.
well, so and we talked about like how we got started and when we got obsessed, but like right before Revenge of the Sith is when KOTOR was out, and that's
Yeah,
like
when it was
what
set.
really got us obsessed with Star Wars.
Fair enough. Yeah.
And had nothing to do with the originals. You know what I mean? Obviously, similar setting, weapons and stuff like that, but no characters from the original at all.
Yeah.
To be
Yeah.
sure.
So when you, I guess I'm gonna take it still on topic, but slightly to a different place here.
Good.
When you're podcasting,
Yeah.
like what's the kind of format of your podcast? Do you kind of do the same thing that we're doing right now, or?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
So what happened was it'll be 4 years in January, and we started off kind of slow and like sporadic, and then built up from there. And we've gone through a bunch of different like
Iterations.
trials. Like we'll try to structure it. We'll try to do like a news segment. It doesn't fucking work for the way that we interact,
Yeah.
and the way like
Yeah.
our fans want to hear us. And now it's literally like we usually do our beer review like towards the beginning of the episode, and that's like literally the only format that we have. It's like let's talk, like welcome. It's fucking cold outside. Let's get into this beer, and then we go on like the main topics.
Yeah. All right.
For sure.
Nice. So in that, going off of that, what kind of beers do you guys like?
Like type of beer or breweries.
Both.
Both, yeah. So
Let's talk about
yeah.
both.
I'm a big
Always
IPA
type.
fan.
Nice.
Yeah.
So
that's
everyone
good call. Me
everyone
too.
knows that craft beer is on the rise right now.
Uh-huh.
Like Columbus. So we're from Columbus. I don't think I mentioned that, but it's gone from like 6 breweries to like 30 in the past like 5 to 10 years, something like that. I can't remember the stat, but so we're obsessed with craft beer, experimentation and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think in terms of type of beer, IPA is probably my favorite. I love the bitterness. I love the hops, and then it's like mainly IPAs.
Yeah.
You know, I'm kind of across the board, but I always end up falling back to that.
Any big breweries out there that you want to rep?
Some
Or,
really
like,
good ones, but most of them aren't distributed outside of Ohio yet, which sucks. You know,
Yeah.
Columbus Brewing Company is like one of the older ones. And I
Uh-huh.
think they are. The Columbus IPA is like really fantastic.
Right.
But a lot of the smaller stuff that we like to go to, we did an event for the premiere of Rogue One. And we went into a brewery and we like co-brewed a beer with actual brewing company.
That's awesome.
That's
I say
badass.
co-brewed, but like we pretty much like had an idea and like they did it. Like
Yeah.
they made the recipe.
You're like,
They're
hey,
all
could you guys do
scientific.
this? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes.
But it was like co-sponsored, and we called it Rouge One. It was a red IPA.
That's an amazing
It's
name.
so fucking good.
And I like reds as well. And the thing is, speaking of IPAs,
Yeah.
it seems as if like this seems like a backhanded comment. harsher than I mean it to be. Like,
Yeah.
it's the hipster. It's like the new in beer. So like, many craft breweries are making
Yes.
at least one IPA, if not more.
Yes.
One style of it.
Yes.
And so that's why you can find them everywhere now. And luckily, yes, I do enjoy that style
Right.
of beer.
Yeah. Right.
But I'm just curious. I'm interested to see like if that like I don't know like curve goes away, if something else rises to take its place. And as
Yeah.
like I don't like wheat beers all that much.
Right.
If that becomes popular, I'm gonna hate it because every bar is gonna be having wheat beer, and I'm gonna be like fuck.
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't even know where the craze came from.
Yeah, I mean, like, can anyone explain it?
My guess would be so like for a while all we had was like the staple beers of America, like Bud, Miller, and Pabst and shit like that. And those are all Pilsners. So maybe once the craft beer craze took off, we kind of like needed a flagship type of brew, and it just became IPAs.
Like, to encapsulate that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
makes
Like
sense to
everyone
me.
has an IPA.
Yeah.
If you're a brewery without an IPA, you're not a brewery. You know, pretty
Yeah.
much.
I mean, I would guess that IPAs are just kind of they're
Are they
you know,
easy to brew?
They're easy drinking beers,
Sometimes.
or yeah. Well, when you get into like the higher hop levels and stuff
Or
like
double or whatever.
yeah, or whatever, what have you.
yeah.
They kind of become a more specialized beer. But
Right.
like you have your Founders All Day IPA
Yeah.
or any session beer,
Yeah.
and you can make a good session IPA. It's easy to make, and you can drink it all
Right.
damn day.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
That's why it's literally called
with,
all day.
With a wheat beer,
Literally.
you're gonna have that taste like all the time. Like you know what you're getting into when you get a stout. Not everybody likes those. Like I
Right.
think IPAs probably just have like a wide
I guess they have a
appeal.
broad appeal is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I can agree and see that for sure.
I know
Yeah,
there's
for
definitely
sure.
people that don't like them, but
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of it's too bitter, and for them, I revert back to just a pale ale,
yeah,
which
exactly.
is just a
Agreed.
milder
or go
taste
drink
profile of
like
it.
a lager or something. You know.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
we got off into a beer tangent.
Speaking
there.
of, speaking of beer, I haven't had beer for a while.
Yeah.
I've been trying to cut down a little bit.
Yeah.
So I haven't been drinking beer. I've been having like gin and soda and like vodka and soda and stuff like that. And I am like craving it so bad right now.
I think if there's any time to let yourself do it, it's here at Podcast
Well,
Movement,
yeah. So I'm meeting up with some of the fans of the show on Saturday, and we're gonna
Nice.
like mess around and have some beers and then watch the fight.
couple
So
beers,
Nice.
couple laughs.
I'm having beers then, and
Go
it's
to
gonna be
In-N-Out
so
Burger.
worth the wait.
There
I
you go.
think. Yeah.
Very nice. That's
Not
cool.
a bad thing. I don't know. Do you guys have any other topics that you want to get onto or talk about?
I could talk about this forever, but we
Talk
should,
about whatever. Yeah.
we should probably
Yeah, well, I
keep
think
the
we're.
episode shorter.
I think we're all gonna
we're
try
all-
and go get some food.
Yeah,
I haven't
that's
eaten
true.
in
Cody
a
and
while.
I and the Lost Signals and him are going to go party at the convention after this.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm also balancing this phone on what
Your arm
looks
must be
like
killing
two shoe boxes.
As always, we're top-notch professionals here at the Lost Signals, and our video will
wait,
show will
wait.
reflect that.
Yeah, don't move. I gotta.
We'll get a picture. We'll get a picture.
I gotta do
As
this.
we get a quick pic of it.
Yeah. Well, we could go about Star Wars forever, you know.
Yeah.
Like,
For sure.
Is there anything
Actually,
else?
Yeah, we can do a crossover episode. This is our Star Wars crossing over with your podcast, our special.
we just cuss at each other really most of the time.
Yeah.
We get into arguments too, so like about different characters.
Right.
I'm a big fan of Count Dooku. People that only watch the movies really don't know much about him, but
Right.
he's a motherfucking badass. People don't really get that.
Right. So
And
they
my
fleshed
co-host
him out.
doesn't really like him that much. So that's one example of stuff that we just like
Sure.
banter back and forth about
Uh-huh.
like endlessly. Yeah.
That's what
Well-
you do when you're a nerd, and that's
Yeah,
what we're doing
exactly.
right now.
Shit, man. Yeah.
Give me your opinion as a fan of the original, not the original, the prequels. Jar Jar Binks.
What do you say?
What's your take on it?
I get it, but too much screen time. I mean, if you go back and watch the originals and aren't completely annoyed with C-3PO, I mean, I don't know, unless you're a kid, obviously, but like it's the same
Sure.
kind of thing. It just went a little
It
too
is
far.
that, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think that Jar Jar Binks is actually a Sith Lord?
Man, I don't know, dude. The first time we had a new buddy on the show, it was like actually
Brought that up.
one of our most downloaded episodes because it's hilarious. But episode 49, maybe. Anyways, he was hell bent on that theory, and this was still before Force Awakens came out.
Yeah.
So he was just like banking on Kylo Ren to be Jar Jar Binks. It's like no way.
Well, clearly they weren't going to do that, but yeah.
Of course not. I watched one of the videos that explains how like that was Lucas's intention for a while, and then it backfired because everyone hated Jar Jar. So he went and like that's why Count Dooku's in 2, and we don't really know about him beforehand because they needed to replace that like
Interesting.
Sith Lord. There's some merit there, but I don't know, man. That's a
But
far
it's pretty
fucking stretch.
flimsy.
You know,
saying-
Yeah, it's a
is,
stretch.
it is quite a stretch. I just love that. I found that one day on the internet, like wherever, somewhere on Facebook or something, and I just loved reading through the entire thing.
idea
It's
of
taking
that
half
theory,
an hour
yeah.
to read that entire
Yeah, sure.
huge
It was lengthy,
long-
man. Yeah.
And there's so many good things, good, for lack of a better
Connections.
term,
Valid points to
connections
it,
is
yes.
probably a good.
Connecting some
It was
very
like a
faint
great
dots.
Coincidences.
It was like a Glenn Beck board. He's like,
But-
here, you see, and then boom.
Yeah.
Sword.
And that's what's happening right now with Thrones. Obviously, we're in the middle of
Yeah.
season 7.
Yeah.
We got 1 episode left. And all that shit's happening too.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
Are you guys all
Definitely.
caught up?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, just want to make
Yeah.
sure.
It always will, of course. Like, it just in general, like we're doing pop culture, so we talk about. So,
Of course.
if you're a diehard fan, you're gonna
Can't help but
you know,
theorize.
yeah. I think it's like you can't escape doing that
Yeah.
to any property.
I wonder how. Sorry, go ahead.
You go.
I was gonna say I wonder how like comic book fans feel about the movies because you can't really speculate. You know what I mean? It's like
Right.
this is Batman's story. Here's Batman again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the part about Game of Thrones is that the people have been following Game of Thrones for decades.
Yeah.
And they have been coming up with complex plots
Yeah.
that they think are going to go. And now all of those plots are collapsing around, down around them.
Yeah.
And they're raging
Yeah.
at.
Yeah, basically, the sentence was something like, "Oh, my theory was wrong, and now the show sucks because they didn't do my theory."
Because
like,
for 30 years I've been positing this theory,
yeah,
and
I've been
it's
so
like,
tied to this, but yeah, it's
Same
really
people
funny.
that hate Force Awakens. You know what I
There
mean?
you
Sure.
go. Yeah.
For the sake of hating it.
Yeah, it's all
yeah.
sort of on the same banner.
Yeah. Well, and I was gonna say when the author takes 10 years to get a book out, you can't help but just churn out fan theory after fan
you're
theory.
writing them in your mind anyway.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But anyway, if we start talking about Game of Thrones right now, it's going to be a rabbit hole that'll
This
go
will be
forever.
a 50-part series starting now.
So, and we'll give your arm a rest, Ian. So we'll wrap it up here.
Word.
Cody, thanks so much for joining us, man.
Yeah, man.
Great meeting
appreciate
you,
it a
and,
lot.
Glad we bumped
And-
into
watch some
the
good times.
Fallout T-shirt last night.
Yeah, exactly. And we'll be around. We'll be at a luau tonight. So
For
sorry,
sure.
As I said-
sorry, fans, you can't be there.
We'll
tell you all
live
about it.
stream it.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
really.
But anyway, as I said, Cody, thanks for coming.
Yeah.
I've been here with Scott Thurlow,
See you guys next time.
Ian Manzer, and myself, Steve Ramosi. And have a good one.
Oh shit! I wasn't recording any of that.
Well, let's do it again.
That's happened before.
This has been a special edition of On the Horn with Steevo. Editing and engineering by Jonathan Ian Manser and Commander Cody. Music by Christopher Morgan. For more information on Podcast Movement, please check out podcastmovement.com.